Hey guys, welcome to the Baseball Junkies podcast. I am your host, Adrian from A League of Our Own, and we've got
We got Mr. Infuego in here with you guys as well.
you guys. We have got a show today. Today we are focusing all of our assets on the one, the only Extreme Card Breaks from YouTube. If you guys haven't seen him, definitely check him out. He's been in the hobby for a while. He has got amazing information. He's got a lot to say. We've been talking to him beforehand. It's going to be a good time today. If you guys have any questions about anything to do with the hobby, definitely check him out. A lot of us, like myself, when things got big at the end of 2019, 2020, I got really into watching his channel. He had some really cool like scammer, like lookout type videos. He does mail day videos. He does some breaking still, not as much as he used to, but he still does it from time to time. Lots of cool stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Justin from Extreme Card Breaks. We're going to bring him on. All right.
I was like, wait, what's going on here?
Hey, man. Jason, thank you for coming on today. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead and tell the community, the ones that might be new to the whole card scene, tell them about yourself.
Well, been doing it since 1984. Yes, I am the old guy probably in the room. Minus the less grunt dad's hanging out in here. He's got me beat by a few years. But off and on, through my 20 years, a million in the Army, I had some dry spots being deployments, whatever it may be. So there's some years I'm fuzzy on what came out, stuff like that there. After I got out, I started breaking, really getting into breaks. I want to say it was whatever Sidney Crosby's rookie year was, 04, 05, 03, 04, somewhere way back yonder. But that was all done on something called Ustream. And then it died down to where Vaughn TV was the one doing it all and turned into Breakers TV. I retired and I'm like, man, it sucks working again for somebody else.
Yeah.
Thought I'd start breaking for a while, see how it went and everything. Got all my licensing credentials to go through distributors. Stayed with GTS primarily, very good company. Tell you rough times whenever you're fighting for allocation and stuff out there, trying to get product and everything nowadays compared to what it was before. They would beg you to take 10, 15 cases. And now they're like, hey, you only get a box,
Oh,
But
man.
launched my own website and everything. Still use the website from time to time to post some sales of cards up, probably like once a month type deal. Leave it up for about a week or so. Mostly now it's just, card shows, do the YouTube. YouTube been on for a while, but it was mostly, like I said, telling you before, it was a backup to Breakers TV because on new release day, a lot of the stuff would freeze on Breakers TV or crash. So you wanted to stay live. So we had YouTube as a secondary platform. So if you look back, there's just a lot of break stuff on it for a long time onto there. Whenever COVID came out, I think at a time frame, I was only doing maybe some mail day videos, box stuff like that. I seen a lot of bad stuff going on in the hobby with what was going on, and some of the rumors filtering around between Secret Squirrel Zoom meetings and stuff like that going on. And I decided it was time to start showing people, before you spend your hard-earned money, and especially during a lot of people had hard during COVID, you might want to look for these things, trim cards, people calling reprints. They're actually counterfeits. That's the big things out there. I mean, switching out patches, fake autographs. Did this ever have an autograph? And I wanted to educate for I think it went on for about 2.5 years. And now it's just like beating a dead horse. You can repeat yourself or you do videos to refresh people and stuff, but trying to keep that going. But card shows, I mean, I've even slimmed down to that to where I only set maybe once, maybe at the very most twice a month. A lot of times I just go to buy. Now you can find me on Whatnot doing probably selling 2, 3, 4 times a month, website stuff. And then there's just so many avenues out there. Now you could sell cards, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, but you got to be careful too. That's why I tell a lot of people, if you're buying from me, I'll PayPal invoice you. So there's an invoice that shows what you're getting. I mean, if I know them well enough, hey, just send it. You're good. If something happens, it's insured. I'll just write your receipt up type deal. But yeah, pretty much long story short in a way there.
A lot of your videos recently, I see you still do a lot of card shows, it seems like. How many times a month are you doing card shows usually?
It was every weekend for a while, and then I switched it up to maybe 3 times a month. Because what happens is card shows are so close together where I'm at. You see the same dealers, same cards week after week. So with that being that way, I mean, I want to see fresh inventory. And that's one thing I always tell dealers. If you're not always rotating your stuff, you're going to bore people across the board. You're going to catch the occasional person's like, oh, man, you still got that this week. I should have bought it last week or whatever it may be. But that's seldom anymore.
Well, that all depends on the product, too, because let's take Update, for example. Okay. Everybody's dubbing that the product of the year, and that you can probably play with that ride for at least another year, maybe 2 after its release, and you still will be pretty much satisfied for the most part. Now, if you take Series 1 or Series 2, different story.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that
I stopped with all the top Series 1s, Chromes, and Bowmans. There's too many colors, too many parallels. And to be honest, the only thing I'll get into baseball is Luminary, Diamond Icons, Dynasty, and Definitive. That's it. Because they're your bigger products. They're more bang for your buck. And trust me, it sucks when you pull crap out of it. But at least they're a better product. And the resale is there because for me, Bowman prospecting 5-6 years ago was good to do. But now you're prospecting with hundreds of dollars per case versus the top team being $100. I mean,
well, you would think prospecting has evolved from 5 years ago to now, because now prospecting's a thing now.
It always has been. There were so many guys that would prospect back in the day. And they would float through the break rooms, and they're like, no, this is a guy you want to get. And I'm not going to lie, Juan Soto and Tatis, if those guys are out there watching this, they hit the nail on the head with those because I remember 2 golds out of it was Bowman Vending, they were called back in the day.
Right.
And, I mean, those guys were just eating them up. Same with Acuna and stuff like that. But there were guys who would sit there and tell me, no, stay away from Mickey Moniak and all this. They're not worth the hype. Those guys knew what they were talking about. Me, it's a random guess. And for me, baseball takes a while for somebody to really get called up onto. You could be waiting 3-4 years. I want to see that rookie playing now. So I'm not tying up, thousands of dollars into somebody that might not, do well. Versus I could sit there and watch like this year's quarterbacks or basketball players and kind of be like, all right, don't spend any more money. This guy sucks. And that's the only big difference for me now.
What are your thoughts? You just made me think about with the products that you said that you like, which the high-end, beautiful products, like Flawless, National Treasure, stuff like that. What do you think about the whole Panini with baseball? Panini in general, I feel like with things they're doing with rumors. I don't know anything for certain, but maybe sending certain case hits, certain things to certain people, and the whole redemption issue they've had and their online service. I mean, I baseball, I only baseball, and I'm like done with Panini personally. But if I was someone that collected a lot of football and basketball, I don't really have any other choice. What's your take on all that?
Oh, I wish every company could fight like they did back in the day. Upper Deck was by far the most superior of them all, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I liked having Topps, Chrome, and Bowman in football and basketball. When you monopolize and take over a whole sport, you ruin it for the collector out there because now we're at the mercy of that company. Panini America is horrible with their customer service. Back in the day, I could make phone calls, send emails, boom, done, over with. Now, even I could send the same email to the same person for 3 weeks straight, and I might be lucky to hear back once onto it.
Get a hold of your
Um,
congressman.
the redemption piece of it all is really catchy because now they're saying, well, we'll give you points or something equal value. They changed it recently to equal value of the time the card was submitted, which makes it a little bit better because think about people that invest in players that, got hurt, no longer around. Those were the high picks of the time frame. And now that card went from thousands to like $10 and stuff. I think that's a good process. I'll give them credit on that.
Yeah. How
What
about
I don't like is them using or actually the way they're doing stuff. Baseball, I think they have a nice baseball product. It's just not licensed to where they can do certain things. I will go after Panini like bat knobs, bat barrels, cut autos. I like that stuff there. But as far as like optic, Don Russ, stuff like that there, I just stay away from it. Mostly because the old breaker mentality. I hated breaking it.
Yeah.
It just was long and cards are going every which way, upside down, backwards, and just having to flip through it.
So you made me think of another huge thing. Like, what do you think the whole Fanatics thing is going to do to the hobby? What are your thoughts on that then?
I think it's going to screw everything up.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be people like, oh no, Fanatics is going to do a wonderful job. Okay, look at their leadership. How many of them guys have been in the card world that you've heard of? I can understand the marketing director or stuff like that there, but they're all from other areas, sneakers and stuff like that there. I think that Fanatics is going to be in a world of hurt. They're already having issues with Fanatics Tops right now out there, and they're just going to blame it on the old Tops crew and stuff like that. I think when you hold 3 of the licenses, which will be, here coming up in a couple years, it's going to be a world of hurt out there. It's going to be adjustment for change. Of course, nobody likes change, but I think you're then at the mercy of that company on what they're going to produce, how they're going to fix it. You have to accept what they're going to do versus where they're competing with other companies out there to make the product better for the collector. And it just won't happen.
Yeah, it's looking like a lot of people in the chat here is agreeing with you on that. I know I'm definitely nervous about it, but
here's where I disagree. I'll be the bad apple. So you've got Fanatics. They've acquired Tops. Okay. Haven't heard anything about them acquiring Panini officially yet. Okay, because of some loose ends that need to be tied up. You would think Fanatics would come up with some form of standardized operation where they take whatever Tops was doing, whatever Panini was doing, combine them together, make them into one standardized operation where there's no, well, we're going to take this route as far as licensing, or we're going to take this route because Panini pulls out their designs are prettier, but Tops has the licensure. They'll combine all those little pieces and ultimately put out products for the consumer where you get the best of both worlds. Like you said, it's going to be growing pains, but at some point, it's going to get to a point where you'll have the consumers that they'll start making their positive reviews about it, and then basically they'll just refine as they see fit.
I don't know. I mean, it would be nice in the perfect world they did do that, but to do that, one, you got to eliminate a lot of product. There's too much product coming out all the time for one.
I agree.
The second is you need to eliminate we started off years ago at like 7 colors of the rainbow, and now we got every color and every snake skin and stripe out there known to man.
Right.
Get rid of it. Make retail what it was. Base with some chrome inserts or whatever. If you want to make some kind of special rare autographs, sit and go for it. But when you start unleashing all this stuff now, Bowman Chrome Light, then I don't know what the new one was. I just got an email about Bowman something. It's not good.
Too many products, too many parallels.
Too many parallels out there.
Yeah.
And you're killing it.
I don't think you could go wrong with excess parallels because, I mean, it's like the colors with today's ideal collector, They're all about the colors. They're all about the parallel. Some of the stuff that these companies are producing are actually sought after. You have your Independence Day. At one point, when it was a thing, your Desert Storm variations. Okay, I mean, if they're gonna come up with a parallel that is ideal for, something Americana-ish, if you will, I can understand that. But yeah, going back to what you said, we don't need giraffe spots. We don't need zebra stripes. We don't need we don't need none of that. But I'm saying, like, the colors, we're good. You get your golds, your reds, your blues. And if you want to throw your Independence Day, you want to throw your 4th of July variation, your New Year's, hell, let equality for everybody. Let's throw Kwanzaa in there. Do that, and we're good.
Well, here's the thing with it. I mean, when you start looking at all the product being produced, you would think some of the prices would come down. It's not.
Right.
Base cards are basically what they were many years ago. They're just base cards, even rookies. Some of them you might have somebody does well, but look at when the old term case hit. Now look at the new term case hit. You get 5 different case hits every case. If they go back to the old standard, what Topps did years ago, look at Donruss Elite. If you kind of do something like that there to where you use the whole rookie class and you rotate your veterans around every year on autographs, you'd make it more desirable. You don't have to put 3 autographs, 5 autographs, 10 autographs per box. Make it 1. I mean, look at, like I said, Donruss Elite back in the day was a case hit out of 20 boxes. And they were still numbered out of 5,000, 10,000. They were still very desirable back then, but you don't see that anymore. They really need, if they're going to rechange the industry like they say they are, they need to look at it and find people that have been doing this for a very long time to come in and make those changes. Don't put up surveys and get all the bots out there. Oh, no, you're doing great. Yay. No. You go out there, you put in the ideas, and then you fix it. Don't do gradual fixes because then you're just going to have the shock the whole time. Do the shock off the bat. Reevaluate after 2 or 3 years. But just think how many Patty Mahomes autographs are out there for football, every single product. Justin Herbert. Joe Montana. I mean, heck, Joe Montana signed every card I think there was known to man and leave.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, valid point, but Topps and Panini, they got to get their piece of the pie as well. So they're only going to seek autographs or contracts for signatures of those big name players. Like, for example, how many autographs 5 years ago have you seen of like a Brett Gardner or a Gary Sanchez or some second tier scrub? You see your Trouts religiously, your Otanis, your Judges, you with these non-substantial players, they don't command that premium like these other guys do. If you make it even across the board for everybody, why not?
Yeah, well, why not? I'm thinking of, like, how many times have we gotten like a Donruss product or even a product that's got 3 or 4 or 5 autos in it, and maybe one of them's decent, where the other ones are just like.
I mean, if I had $1 for every Debbie Garcia autograph that I pulled, my mortgage would be paid off.
Yeah.
Well, look at Upper Deck back in the day. You might have 20 autographs in their set. You might hate life because you got a Akeem Olajuwon or Chris Mullin. Hall of Famers, though. Hall of Famers now. Yeah. Now you have way too much out there. And anybody that ever wore a jersey or put a pair of shoes on, played the sport, has an autograph into it. Look at what NT, the biggest thing, Flawless, have turned into. There's so many autographs out there compared to when it first came out. It was limited. Right. One thing I would respect is Tom Brady don't sign a lot. There's not a lot of Tom Brady autographs. That's the one guy out there. If you look at Upper Deck, they were smart. They control LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Tiger Woods, and Ben Simmons. Nobody cares about him, though. But they control that. there's not an overpopulation. Trout stuff is out insane. Every card show I go to, I see probably hundreds of Mike Trouts. Not one person able to sell them unless I come up to them and say, "I'll give you 70% of the card." They'll think about it. More than likely by the end of the show, they'll take it because they know they're not going to sell it. The only way you'll sell it's go on eBay, find whatever your average price is, subtract whatever your pay thing is, 11 to 15%, and that's what you'll get for it. But it's hard when you have just that overpopulation of autographs out there of the player. Is it cool? Yeah. Has it just come out? Yeah. But, they just need to control it. You don't need to have every single product having Mike Trout autographs in across the board. Why not rotate between Trout and maybe Ohtani, and another one would be your big hit? You still have them, but you limit where they're at through the products. Now, of course, your big products are all going to have them, but all your smaller end stuff, you could really, slim it down and where it doesn't cost a lot for the collector to go out there and collect.
Here's another one regarding autos, though. What's your take on sticker auto versus on-card?
To me, it's never mattered at all. Some people are like the on-card. Some people don't like the sticker. At the same time frame, I like to get my auto in the pack. I don't want to wait 10 years for it to come in the mail. So if it's a sticker, it's a sticker. I got it. A lot of the hockey stuff, had to come by sticker because those guys during their summer months or off time, whatever you want to call it, they're over in Russia and stuff. If you look at a lot of the soccer, it's the same way. It's sticker. It's just that we got spoiled with on-card, in-person autographs because that's the sports locally in the United States onto it. To me, I mean, I got it because the guys don't stay on sticker. Sometimes it looks like crap the way they place them and stuff. To me, either way, it's an autograph. I'd rather have it on card, but when it comes down to somebody that I collect, it don't matter if it's a sticker or if it's on card because I want the card. I want it for my set.
Nice. How do you we were talking a lot about like PSA. I talked to you about tag grading. Is it arena?
Oh yeah, that's a great one there. Arena grading. Derek Jeter had no idea what he funded there.
Yeah, talk about that because we were talking about that a few weeks ago. We were gonna do a sample run and give it a try because it was something new. We were looking into it, but you had some good information on that I think it's a good idea for some people to hear and stuff because if
you guys have been around through COVID, Pure Graded X came out. Pure Graded X was spearheaded. I wasn't a fan. I'm not going to lie of it. I did think that's the right time to launch during COVID another company. Those guys all go their own separate way. Pure Graded X is over here. Then all of a sudden you have whatever TGT stood for. I forget what it is. Anyhow, out of that, one owner from Pure Graded X goes over there. He brings in a guy who has a YouTube channel. I believe it was Pittsburgh is how he said it. Anthony something. This guy here, I watched him as he was grading cards and the way he handled his own. That's not somebody I mean, granted, I don't know who's grading me and looking at my cards at PSA, which is probably a good thing. But if I could physically see people handling my stuff that way, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
You're talking about a guy that was happy getting GMA 8s and 9s, but yet he was part owner of another grading company. Well, anyhow, that grading company, you never heard about him anymore. So Arena Grading comes out. Derek Jeter, big spokesman, put all that money into it. I feel bad for him. He ends up, I don't know if they acquired TGT or how, but the guy that I was talking about would be on there handling the cards and just fumble them all over his desk and stuff that looked like trash. He's like the head grader, according to LinkedIn at the time frame. Don't know if he's still there. I don't really keep track of it because I would never use him just because of that. But that's my own personal opinion onto it. Is that if I see somebody, how they're handling cards, they have no knowledge, but they act like they do, and they just want to be part of the whatever crowd they want to be part of, I'm gone. There's a different thing about having respect in the hobby versus making these little clicks that float around there, the new cool it thing and everything, or you want to make your own it club out there. And it's just not right. And that's why you do your research on this stuff. Well, am I happy with the way PSA runs? No. And they hear it every survey they give me out there. Am I happy with SGC? No. Beckett? Hell no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest right now. I mean, SGC mailed me a reholder card back. It's never made it to me. It left my Louisville post office and never made it down to here. Now, I've been in contact with them. They're trying to do their piece, and I know what the answer is. It's gone. Somebody stole it. It required my signature and everything. Now, I give them credit. Their customer service is really good onto it, but, you know, the answer to the problem still hasn't been solved yet. Now, it was just, granted, this is last week, too, because it should have been here on Tuesday. Now, we're, you know, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement across the board, and people argue, you know, a PSA top dog, they grade the most. I think SGC comes in a hard second because of their vintage. They've been respected for decades for the vintage versus their modern. And that's where, like I was telling you, there's a big difference. I could send something into PSA and get a 7 or 8. I could send to SGC and get 9, 9.5. There's no standard across the board. It's a standard in their company.
There's a standard. It's just their respective company's standard.
Yeah, you got to remember when grading came out with the conditioning, this is decades ago. Your trading card magazines all had this standard blurb. And I'm pretty sure if we look into it, Dr. Beckett's the guy that made this whole thing up with all the different things. But when you look at it going across the board, it's PSA's eye appeal of the card. You know, if it looks good in center, it may get like a 6 and you send somewhere else, it's a 4. Or, you know, you get your SGC 9.5 and you're like, oh, I'm going to crack this and see if I can get a PSA 10. It comes back an 8. There's a lot that goes all into that stuff out there. And knowing your grading company and knowing what a card you could guess what's going to come back one and know, I'm going to send it over here. It's going to get a better grade, which means I'm going to get more money. And that's the way we feed it out there. Yeah. And a lot of people see this. A lot of people don't know this at all either. I mean, I did a big test almost 2 years ago with SGC. I had some Blaze Jordans, Ed Howard. These were all first Bowman autos. And they all had the scratch marks on it. Now, PSA originally, and I didn't crack these. I sent a couple in early, came back 8s. Sent the other ones off to SGC, 9.5s. Couple 9s. So big difference between the two companies where one focuses more onto the centering of the card versus the corners of the card. And that's just something you have to really look at to see how is their weighted metric onto it, because they'll say you could have a minor here, minor there. Well, how minor is minor? Yeah.
Another huge thing that you had an interesting opinion on, because we recently did the whole tag grading thing, and then HGA had a similar kind of thing, the whole computer grading your card. Give us your take on that. I thought it was really interesting.
The only reason I know anything about this grading company called GMG, I think they're still out. I don't know. He actually gave me an in-depth look at it, even gave me video to show everybody. And the easiest way to say this, when they're scanning your cards in, that's what they do. They scan them in. I mean, PSA supposedly does this too with Genamint, but I think they leave theirs on the sleeve, if I remember correctly. But if you think about this and your card's getting scanned, if that scanner's dirty or has some kind of debris on it, you know, you're putting it on or sliding it to get to that right place, you're going to scratch that card up for one. But all it is they're using some filtered Photoshop on to use I forget what it's called, the red eye version onto it to see all that stuff onto it. When you start getting that nitpicky, you're going above the 10% magnification that all these other grading companies do. I use a scope, and I keep it on 20. And the only reason is because I don't want to miss something onto it, and I'll play around with the stuff onto it. But I think overall, that's not a good idea to start bringing computer stuff into it, because you have to tell the computer what is a 10, what is a 9.5, what is a 9. You have to build that off a card that already has that. We're already talking about subjectivity between the grading companies, between multiple cards already out there, between why is this one a 10, this one's a 9, 9.5, whatever it may be. Now this computer's saying this is a 10, this is what it's supposed to look like. What if that one was supposed to be a 9? You just screwed the whole program up. And like I said, Eric over at GMG gave me a big, thorough thing onto it, showing me all this stuff. Now the computer gives you the exact measurements of left, right, top, bottom, got it, and stuff like that. I think that's kind of cool piece of it. But where they're looking at the surface and all that, you need a person to look at that. Is that a piece of dust on the card or not?
That's what I found. Okay, yeah. I thought you would, Mr.
Because you bring a good point that you have to feed information into a computer to tell it what to look for. You have to do the same thing to a human.
You do.
If I get hired by PSA as a grader, I'm gonna have that person tell me, okay, when you're grading cards, these are the things you need to look for. Okay. I personally think if you incorporate both, you can't go wrong, because there's going to be things that you will catch that maybe that computer overlooked, or there may be some things that you as a human cannot see that the computer will catch, and it will point it out to you so you can verify or confirm, and you'd be like, oh crap, you know what? That's legit, or whatever the case may be. Now, as far as just, you being a veteran as well, PMCS in your equipment. If it's dirty, clean it. You get these people, you pay them whatever it is that you got to pay them to make sure your equipment works, that it's in top notch, that there is nothing that's going to cause any deficiencies with productivity. You can't go wrong. I'm not saying one is better than the other, but in my opinion, one should rely on the other, depending on which way you look at it.
Well, here's something for you to think about too, for food for the thought. Your GPS goes down because the satellites go down. You better know how to do basic land navigation with the compass, right?
That makes perfect sense.
So, I mean, you could feed that same terminology over into grading itself. You have to have people out there that know exactly what to look for. Star cards. Beckett, for the longest time, was the only star graders. Why? Because they had the star producer working for Beckett to be able to train to find the fakes out there. I think there's a lot of, either way, bad things. You're going to have your negatives and positives. How are these computers going to tell you if that card's fake or not? I mean, that's the big thing there. There's a lot to it when it comes across, but if you don't feed that computer correctly the basic knowledge, then just say everybody converts to using computer AI, right, to grade with.
Mm-hmm.
Now all that stuff that was graded by human eyes, is that obsolete? Does that all have to be regraded? And if it has to be regraded and gets a lower grade, how many insurance policies are going to cover that out there?
I mean, what is the justification if you have a grader who went out the night prior after work, woke up the next morning, came to work with a hangover? Or they had a bad night and they come into work all grumpy. I mean, and I'm sure you've heard of it through all avenues that you have dealt with. You've seen all these videos about people doing their PSA reveals, and they say, "Oh, well, I got an 8 probably because the grader who graded my stuff, he had a bad day with the wife last night," or whatever the case may be. I mean,
I've seen and heard it, and I've actually taken the pictures and showed the people exactly what the heck they missed onto because they don't have an eye. Mm-hmm. They think they're the professional grader. They're not.
Right.
They're not. They're like, I don't understand. This guy must have had a bad day. I got a 6 or 7. I'm like, dude, look right here. I blew this up. Look, that is a fingernail indent, what I call right there on your card.
Mm-hmm.
Look, how did you miss that? Now you know why. Now, I mean, everybody's going to have their bad days at work and everything like that.
Right.
they're supposed to have a second review.
Mhm.
Also, if I'm unsure about something, I got my battle buddy to my left to right, supervisor. Hey, man, can you come look at this? And I think the more you get into the higher graded cards, especially at the PSA level, the more of a veteran you have looking at your cards. So think of it like this in the Army. Everything goes in bulk, your private through specialist is looking at.
Yeah.
Then your mid NCOs are probably looking at everything that, you know, that like that $40 value, maybe up to whatever the next level, the $75 called. Then as you start going and spend more money, you're going to get that more expertise onto it. Not saying that more expertise guy just didn't go through a divorce and he hates life, but you're still supposed to have that thing inspected a second time afterwards onto the grade. And I can tell you, I've seen my orders bounce from QA1 or QA2 back to be regraded on that stuff. Next thing you know, you see it back in grading. And the reason being is somebody missed something onto it. Nobody really ever speaks of that part of the process because they don't catch it. They're not looking at their stuff 2-3 times a day on updates. But if you really look into it, you'll see it. Before COVID, when your stuff went into grading, you pretty much were getting it that day. It was making through assembly and everything else the rest of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't catch it. Nowadays, you'll see stuff go into QA1, QA2 back to grading because somebody messed up along the way. But again, like I said, no grading company out there is 100% perfect in what they do. There's never going to be a correct answer. It's always going to be somebody's judgment call. Now we pay somebody to be what we call an expert. Yeah. And what makes them an expert out there? Did they go to school? Did they have a degree?
Or they just been there longer?
Yeah, I mean, that's where it comes into play. And I think the best terminology uses the military when you look at it. You got that guy comes fresh out of basic training in AIT. He's not proficient in all his skill level 1 tasks.
Right.
He's got to get proficient at that. And that's why we're down to low end. That's why your lower end stuff could be all over the board possibly. But a lot of times I don't think it's over the board because I know what I send in and what I'm guessing at stuff at. And a lot of times, yeah, I might miss something or I'm like, yeah, they caught it all. Good job, guys. Sucks for me. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, man, good job, guys. You caught it. I'm proud of y'all. Okay. But it's just the way it is. I mean, yeah, it sucks when you get the lower stuff back and you miss stuff. And there's times, I send stuff in. It's, a borderline, maybe 9, 10 onto it. And it comes back 10s, you're happy. Take your wins with your losses, just like going to casino and playing a slot, even though that's probably the worst example. But
it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like the point I want to make, that we are making with all this is, a lot of people might go in, like you said, you've been doing this for a while, and they might automatically think that you're just set in your ways, PSA, SGC, whatever only. But I think it's fair to say that you'd be willing to try the new company's tag if you knew there was people in the hobby that had been in the hobby for a while that have some kind of a good background that they were trying to make a good product, make a good
I would trust forensic grading. I mean, they just won't ever have the reputation. I know who does it. I've known them for years, who they are.
Right.
I would let them grade my cards, but the problem is you got to find somebody else that's going to have that same trust to pay that kind of money for that card. And somebody else just said something. I just got to find a chat. Oh, where was it here? Yeah, okay. The problem with graders only have a couple minutes to grade each card, and that's true. When I review somebody's card, it's about 5 minutes. They get about 1 minute to 2 minutes to look that card over. So when I'm looking somebody's card over, I'm giving you everything I see. That grader may only see one little flaw on there, and it passes versus what I do. Now, when you look at a computer looking that stuff over, it may catch that stuff to bring some attention to it and stuff like that for a grader, but it comes into play. I don't think we're going to see companies like Beckett, SGC, and PSA use it, because if they do, and somebody would send a card in and it somehow goes through that computer to get re-looked at, they're going to have to re-look at everything to make this new grading system up. And I guarantee you, with at least PSA's policy, can you imagine some of the 10s out there, say Jordans that are now supposed to be 9s or 8s out there because people overlook stuff that the computer doesn't, how much they'd have to pay out on that? I think Gentleman's a great idea, though. They incorporate scanning all the cards in because it lets them know what came in. At the same time frame, I like it. They're posting everything now, pictures of the card, because you'll know if somebody cracks it out, changes out the patches. The one thing I would say for fanatics, take a picture of every single card that has a relic and autograph on it. Post it on your website. We'll now know if somebody changes out that patch, because there is a couple cards out there. Not too many people knew about this. And I think somebody recently just did a video on this too. And I'm like, how did you not know this?
The LeBron.
If you had an upper deck card and say it was screwed up, the flash or the jersey was pulled out, and you mailed it back in, they just cut another piece off and threw it in later on. And I mean, that was the way they did it. You could open that box up 4 years past or 3 years past and be like, hey, I just opened this. Look how jacked up it is. Upper deck would be like, all right, we got to reproduce that and do this and that. So you just have to be careful with the whole process of, calling somebody out on that stuff and know the history behind it. Now, that part in particular, I don't know, because Upper Deck's now saying they don't know this and that. But I do know one person that had it happen to him where he opened it up. It was all jacked up. It was just a plain, I think you called it the other day, underwear swab or something like that. The one color white. And it came
the underwear patches. Yeah.
Yep. They had like a 3-color going on in there. And it was really nice. And it, it was like, whoa. And it was updated through the times of how they were doing stuff currently. So they kind of lucked out onto it. But, he kept all his documentation onto it and stuff like that when it sent in the letter coming back just, to have it for if he ever sold it. But it's just crazy stuff going on out there. And it's good people are calling scam trim cards and stuff like that there. But you got to be careful when you do that because it could come back to bite you onto it in the long run. And I think that's our lawsuit. I think, what's his name? Paul Lesko was talking about somebody suing those other people now. If you guys really have nothing to do when you go in the bathroom to read and stuff like that, pull up Paul Lesko's Twitter. He covers all the court cases on there. And I'll tell you what, it's insane. He breaks it down lawyer dummy proof out there for me. It's really interesting to see everybody who's suing everybody out there against the companies, redemptions, autographs, and all that.
Yeah. Speaking of which, that was one PSA that there's like a class action suit Sports Car Radio was talking about for a card that they
Ruth cut auto.
That's another one. That's the
most recent one.
That's the most recent, but there's a class action suit building against PSA right now for a card. It's a Larry Bird, the triple Larry Bird and the
logo man.
Yeah, not triple logo man. It's like a Larry Bird rookie card that they originally graded, and then it was sent in to be reslabbed, and they reslabbed it. And then the person that originally sent the card in comes out like, hey, haha, I got one past PSA. That's a fake card,
right? And
so now the FBI is all involved. And the funny thing is, when PSA goes and gives the card to the FBI, they took it out of the slab, gave it to him raw. So, did you hear about that story?
Yeah, I heard that one too. I mean, I was the person that really knew about the Juan Soto because I knew who the first Bowman that got erased. I knew somebody that was the owner of that card at one time.
Oh, really?
That's how I knew the whole thing behind it. And it was an interesting thing to bring up because stuff that I knew from way back then had happened and people were just hearing about it now. I'm like, wow, it's crazy onto that. It's just crazy across the board. I just sit there and think about some of this stuff that's gone down in the past compared to now. And it's just going to keep getting worse. Yeah, the fake Babe Ruth cut auto. It's really they're saying it's his secretary because Babe only used quotations and all this stuff.
In his earlier years.
But what they really need to do is find out when that document was from, because they had to cut it from a document. If that document is dated, you'll be able to tell, was it him? Was it not him?
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't even say this, but if you look at what's the head honcho? Hey, Joey, Glazed Donut Boy. Hey, what's the guy's name? Steve something over at Beckett, the guy that everybody sees on freaking Pawn Stars. One of you guys out there in chat know what I'm talking about.
Oh, what's that guy's name? I went into that guy's shop when I was in Vegas last.
Chat, help me out. Steve something. Yeah, Steve Grad.
Thank
Go
you.
search YouTube. It's on there. I knew about this a while back. He authenticated an Amelia, was it Earnhardt? I think it was Earnhardt. It was somebody famous, and he said that these weren't their autographs, right? And that these ones were. The person's, I think, granddaughter or daughter or somebody brought it to his attention that you're wrong. I'm related. I know he signed this, and all the ones you graded were fake. So your leading expert that everybody looks up to made a mistake. And then there's talk about it, even his prior history onto it. If you look at that prior history, it's nuts because of where he learned how to come in about looking at autographs. And you'll be like, wow, this is such a small world out there. And it all evolves around with a lot what Sports Card Radio talks about with Bill Maestro, the heroes of sports cards and all this stuff, how it all is grouped into one out there. And after that, I was like, man, that's crazy because I heard about this happening, never knew anything about it. And one day I was talking to somebody on the phone about it, and I Googled it, right? And this just shows you how much they're watching us. I go onto YouTube, pull up there. There's a freaking video about it. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Are you listening to me, computer? And just pulled it out of nowhere? So it was on there, and it talks about Steve Grad with the whole lawsuit that he had while he was underneath this other company out there that he had to, he was like, I don't know if he was a witness or whatever it may have been onto it. And then they start talking about this other Earnhardt. I think it was Amelia Earnhardt. No, it wasn't Amelia Earnhardt. Man, I can't remember who it was now. It's going to bug me. But how he messed up onto it out there. Yeah, see, this is the deposition. Well, that's kind of bad that it just pulls up when I type in Steve Grad's name now on my computer.
You've done too much searching on Steve Grad.
Well, no, it was Steve. Well, it was with Upper Deck, Collector's Universe, all this stuff. It was a huge thing onto it where they had all these people coming in and talking about these autographs. But I can't remember who it was, though, now. It was man, it's been a while. But it was one of those people that, passed away many years ago, and their kid or grandkid brought in an autograph, and they couldn't get it authenticated. I mean, look at Shoeless Joe Jackson. Nobody this day knows what his autograph looks like.
Well,
yeah.
I would think, people would know Joe Jackson wasn't illiterate. Okay, he had to be taught how to write his signature, and even then, it looked like the signature of a 5-year-old. So
interesting.
But since we kind of transition into, I guess, what I'm gonna call the hobby police, if you will, you're known for putting out videos, informing the younger collectors or hobbyists, whatever you want to call them, what to look for, what not to look for, what are some red flags at either shows, breaks, eBay sales, so on and so forth. Okay. What are your thoughts about those individuals that is actually doing what you're doing, but I guess you could say on a bigger platform like Sports Car Radio, for example?
They were doing it way before me. Way before me. What it was, and Sports Card Radio, like I said, they were the people to go get your group break checklist from back in the day and everything out there. They were the ones that, even with the Blowout Forum people and all that did a lot of this stuff, investigating and finding this stuff out. For me, I just went along with telling people to be aware and keep your eyes open, because if you're buying fake stuff with your hard-earned money, you don't want that to happen, like fake BSA slabs, fake Beckett slabs that were going around, trim cards. Hey, if you're going to go buy a big card, check this database out to see if there's ever been somebody saying, hey, that patch has been swapped. I have no issues with the bigger platforms doing it. I mean, like I said, Sports Card Radio did it way before me. Mm-hmm. There's some people out there that are really good experts in vintage, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. Is the vintage guy. He goes to like 10,000 card shows a year. He tried to hit every state up. I can't remember his name offhand. Somebody in chat might. I don't watch a whole lot of their videos and stuff anymore, but those guys, it's good to have that information out there. Whether you're a big channel or a small channel, you're putting it out. Somebody might not catch that big channel that's seen on a smaller channel, okay?
Right.
But at the same time frame, I'm going to say, you need to watch your lane on that stuff, because you call something out bad, it's not, you can get you tied up for years in court stuff over it. So be sure you know what you're talking about. Have your documentation. If you look at Sports Card Radio, they documented everything that they're showing and talking about in their stuff. And that's the proper way of doing it. On the YouTube side of the house, you want to put down that, you know, you got this article, you're reading it from this YouTube video, whatever it may be, because you're repeating the information that's already been put out there. But you want to be careful. Breakout cards. There we go. Somebody just said, yeah, breakout cards. He knows his vintage very, very well out there. You got to look for people like that out there, because they're the ones who are going to be able to help and assist in other areas. I don't think anybody out there is a leading expert across the whole board out there. Guys are always going to have to research, talk to each other out there. I did it a bunch of times with people in group chats.
I think that's the only way to go. I mean, anything I do, no matter what, I always like try to run it past other eyes, get other people's opinions. There's sometimes just talking to you guys where there's stuff that I'm still learning, and I'm like, oh shoot, like, you know, just to try and do, make sure we're doing the right thing and stuff, or because we're all let's not forget, we're all in this hobby because it's fun. We're having fun. We like to collect. We like cool looking cards. We like pretty parallels and stuff like that. But yeah, the nice thing about your channel, the scammer thing and all that, it keeps it fun for us, because it's no fun to get in a break or buy a card and find out it's fake, or find out your cards got swapped out. It just, so that's these watchdog channels. Like I feel like you are like a Sports Card Radio kind of deal. It at least helps you like keep your eyes open, for stuff like that. You had, I think on your website, you guys check out his website and all his info. It's all in the description. There's even had the list. I use the list, your eBay blocker list. People like shady sellers on eBay, or shady buyers. People that don't pay.
That person that provided me that, we combined my list, and he used to be admin on, I don't know if I could say it, Sports Card Scammers on Facebook before they went all crazy with the purple charger thing and all that, the illegal raffle. And he gave me that rest of the list. I posted on Discord, let everybody use it. Hey, block it out. Occasionally some of them ones are going to be deleted. You're just going to have to go scroll through when it tells you, and just take out the deletions. But it just helps you. They're always going to come back. I mean, a lot of the card trimmers all have different names. They use their kids, dog, everything else out there on there. But if you can help eliminate a little bit of the threat, I guess you could say, out there, you just set yourself up better. And, the best thing to do is, if you're unsure about something, you could ask the buyer or seller to talk, or usually I should just say the seller, tell you more about it and stuff like that. If it doesn't jive, take a picture, ask people. Don't make a quick decision in buying a card out there. It'll come back to haunt you. And, say you save up for the younger guys. I mean, your grass cutting money for all summer long, and you want to go buy something crazy out there to find out that it was altered, and you start seeing all the crazy posts about it. Imagine how you feel at that time frame. Yeah. It's a horrible feeling. I mean, I've had many years ago on this stuff, and it sucks. It's the worst feeling of all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. One of your more recent videos where you were talking about a card show. I kind of like to dive into this a little bit for people new getting into the hobby, kind of the etiquette. We don't talk about it a lot. Kind of the etiquette card shows, or buying even stuff when you buy on eBay and things like that. Like there's different little things in all of it. Like if you buy a card on eBay, like pay for it right away, kind of thing. Or if you can't pay for it, like you accepting an offer or whatever, like message the seller, like, hey, the payment's coming through this day, blah blah blah. So just little things like that. Like communication's a big thing. I liked your card show one where people just come up and like, no hi, no hello, no what you got here. What's the lowest you'll take for that? I heard that was your favorite phrase.
Yeah, I love that. Especially, and it's not against when I say this. I know there's probably a lot of younger generation out there watching it, but majority is that there. And it's not even like, hey, man, how low? What will you take on it? It's always, what's the lowest you'll take? And I'm not, sticker has the price on it, right? That's how I'll answer you back just as firmly. I really don't care about your, because here's the thing. There's many avenues I could sell that card at. You're not my only buyer. And everybody needs to look at that. If you feel somebody comes up and disrespects you for your pricing or whatever you're doing, move on. There's another one out there. And even if that's the 101, the holy grail that you got to get, walk away. Walk away. It'll come available again in a few years down the road. There's been plenty of times where I passed up on stuff because of that. But recent at these card shows, and I've overheard this now, oh, well, I got 25 Instagram followers. What's that mean to the old guy that's selling the cards there? He don't care how many followers you have.
Okay. I was waiting for this to come up.
You know, come on. Now, seriously, what's it matter how many followers or whatever you have out there, subscribers? It matters. Can you sell these cards and keep moving? It's just like a car dealership. I don't care about the dealer. I care about how much he's moving and making money along the way. And that's the same way with the cards. It doesn't matter followers. It matters how can you get cards? Can you sell them quick or not? So if you're into flipping.
Here's my, and I'm just assuming, okay, you being a more seasoned seller, for example, okay, if you have that one kid who he throws that verbiage at you, I've got 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, okay? We're in a day and age right now where we're starting to see a lot of people sell their stuff in Cyberland. Now, has it crossed your mind that the reason maybe he is bringing up his resume is what I'm going to call it as a form of possibly networking? If you may be in that realm of being in YouTube or some form of social media platform as well?
To me, I really don't care what they have, because at the end of the day, when I leave that card show, I still have a tight-knit group of people out there of, say, 50 to 100 people. And if I can't get rid of that card there, I could send to somebody else, take to another show and get rid of it for me. I don't need him or his 100,000, 200,000 Instagram followers. Hell, he probably bought half of them. You know how many people buy subscribers and followers out there? So, I mean, to me, it's nothing big. I mean, look at Whatnot. There's guys on there that have tens of thousands of people. Why? Because they give giveaways all the time. Then people disappear and they got like 10 people in their chat. It's the same way. How many of those followers are religiously buying from you and talking to you daily? Because there's no way you could answer all those messages. There's no way.
Well, I mean, you've got your breakout cards. He does it a lot. You've got Striker Breaks. He happens to be another one. I mean, those guys actually take the time in informing their audience. And that's, I guess, the motive that is being used to drive in a bigger audience. I mean, to me, I look at it as it's all networking. I'm not looking at it from a perspective of who has the bigger junk, for a lack of better terms. I'm looking at it possibly in the form of, you know, if you have a YouTube, you know, maybe we could exchange and we could probably, you know, work something out to where it kind of benefits both parties.
I think the point being there, like, I feel like Striker Breaks, that's a good example. I don't think Striker Breaks would go up to his table at a card show and be like,
"What's the bottom you'll take?"
He has a lot of subscribers and stuff like that, but I just don't feel like he would, like, he's educated, smart enough.
I think your chat's hitting on a point to where I was reading through some of this, is that some of these influencers use their influence to make steals of deals because of their popularity out there. There's other ones that really don't care about it at all. You know, there's guys I've met through the community that I never knew had channels. I'll use 502 Frank. We talk every card show. Every single card show, I'm either set up or I bump into him. And never any time did we talk about how many subscribers, followers, or not, and try to boost each other's ego and stuff. It's about the person you're dealing with. And if the first thing that you don't like my price because you're like, well, I need to move this card with my 25,000 followers on Instagram. If you have 25,000 followers on Instagram, it should be an easy move for you, would be my first thought. And I mean, there's guys that use their popularity to oversell cards. We'll use base graded cards.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting more money on it because of their fame. Do I hate it? No. Do I think it's right? No. Yeah, good for them. But, in the long run, you're hurting the overall look of this. You're making a younger generation be like, oh, I want to be like this guy who's selling the $100 Zion 20,000, PSA 10 level for $500, and it's only really at like 200. They're wanting to be that. It should be more about educating the young, giving stuff to the young kids coming around. I don't really ever do a whole lot of my taping showing giving stuff to young kids. One, I think it's kind of creepy videotaping a young kid giving a pack of cards, but that's just me from being older, okay? It might be cool to do that stuff now. And if I was a big giveaway, I'd ask the parent if I could do it.
Yeah.
But The thing is that when I was a young kid, we didn't have a lot of money. And I remember going to the flea markets, and I really wanted this Nolan Ryan card. I was $1 short. It was like $5. I had 4.
Mm-hmm.
God just gave it to me for free. That meant the most to me. It probably holds that memory in back of me the most. So when you do stuff like that, you start bringing the good back into the hobby and not the mentality, let's get rich quick. You want to get rich quick, go play a Bitcoin. Or whatever it is called out there, that stuff.
Right.
This here was a hobby first. It got ruined by money-hungry, greedy people that screwed over their $1 million buddies out there. That's my personal opinion onto it, from what I've gotten from knowledge. If you watch, there's a Mr. Beast video out there that he does an interview with somebody. He talks about getting a phone call from one of these billionaires out there, and he's like, this is the stupidest idea of all. And I really would like to meet Jimmy in person, ask him, was this about the sports cards? Because I'm almost betting my bottom dollar it was.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was a thing where a tight group, they went out there, did all this, then they expanded to their buddies. It was a pyramid scheme is what I call it. And it went on and on and on and on. It went on too long where everybody was like, oh, man, we can make all this money out there. The smart people were the ones that already had the stuff and said, I ain't buying nothing more. I'll wait till it to die back down. And they made a ton of money that way, and they reinvented themselves out there. But the going back to the show stuff, there's an etiquette of how you go up to somebody with respect and everything. I got it. As a seller, you got to have that etiquette and respect back to your buyer too.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't be, what I call an ass clown to somebody coming up to you. If they're going to come up to you and be a jerk, just blow them off like I do. I mean, the way I blow them off might be different than anybody else blows somebody off too out there. But it's just the way it is. Move on. There'll be somebody else for that. I promise you as a seller, there's somebody else that'll want that card, and you'll be fine down the road. And if you're really hurting for money, then go sell it on eBay or throw it at a consignment house or whatever. I mean, I don't know what to tell when people start saying that, but, the biggest thing is my pet peeve with these guys. What's the bottom you'll take? What's the bottom on this card? This card ain't for you if that's what you're asking me.
Yeah.
I dig it. I really thank you for sharing that Nolan Ryan card story. That's what our community is really about. That's what it's about right here, the hobby and getting into it. I love that kind of we just hit over an hour. Jason, is there anything else you'd like to
as long as you guys want?
I got one question for him, Adrian.
Yeah, all right, let's roll.
All right. With all that you have seen with the hobby since what you consider your day one of collecting and all that, and basically how it's evolved for either the best, the better, or the worst of what we have today, where do you see the hobby in 10 years from now?
Oh, in 10 years from now, well, the sad part is Fanatics will still have their licenses. I think there's going to be a lot of change, and a lot of people are going to be upset with the changes that come around, whether it's grading companies, and stuff always evolves. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
you seen where I talked earlier about dealers fighting back now against the flippers. I mean, they're saying, hey, go buy this card somewhere else then if you could find it for this price, because you can't.
Yeah.
But I think you have to learn, and it's the hardest thing ever. You're used to one way is adapting. But overall, I think it'll be fine. I think we'll lose a lot. We'll gain it. And it'll be a lot of ups and downs through the whole process. I think there'll be some. Oh, I want to say this. I think there's going to be a good chunk that fights the Fanatics things, and they will not buy into it, and they stick with just buying what we'll call it probably then vintage or the older wax, because they won't care about whether or not they get that expired redemption or not, because it brings back that memories and history. What I do feel sorry for is the younger generation coming in to a more greedy hobby than what it was.
Right.
There are, like I said, a lot of people say they do giveaways and stuff. And they document and want to put on their social media and stuff like that. What I give credit to is the people I see at shows that do it, that don't make a big scene about it and stuff like that. That there just shows to me they're still good out there. And it will still exist the years down the road. But if you have kids or your nephews or whatever, grandchildren, bring them in the proper way. Show them what's right versus wrong, and just with how to treat other people out there. Everybody's human. We're only on this planet for so long. Who knows what happens after we die? We can't take it all with us, unless somehow you know where you're going to hide at and able to discover it later. But treat everybody with respect out there. I mean, some people, they might not deserve it out there because of the way you see them act and stuff like that there. And I got it. It'll happen that way. But the biggest thing is going to car shows. Don't get in arguments and want to get in fist fights over stuff. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Love it.
Totally
walk
agree.
away. Just walk away. If you walk away mad, just walk away. It don't matter if you're mad, sad, happy, or whatever. Walk away. Don't make a scene. Because in this day and age, you're going to be put on social media regardless. Somebody has a camera on you out there. And if you think about it, Mr. Infuego, you probably know, I know Adrian knows too, if you act like you're in the military the whole time frame on your P's and Q's out there and just do stuff the right way, you don't ever have to look back. You might have a mix up here or there out there. Mm-hmm. Don't blame everything else in society. Take the responsibility for your mess up. Apologize, move on, grow from it. Because I'll tell you now, everybody out there's made mistakes with the way we handle situations, the way we talk, the way we present ourselves. It's about how you come out afterwards. I mean, a lot of people talk about Logan Paul, how he came out after the last, was that thing where you hatch the eggs and stuff like that there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think before you go out there. Don't do it live. If you have to retape your video 30 times, do it. Send it off to people. Be like, hey, man, does this get the point across? Am I being too much of an ass? Hell, I know people I've sent my videos to. So I asked them that, and they're like, nah, you should be good. Yeah. I'm like, because I don't want to come out there being like a know-it-all or an asshole towards stuff like that there, because what I think is, wrong or right, others might not. You got to respect everybody's own upbringing and their decision-making out there. Even if we know their decision-making's wrong out there by pumping and dumping cards, by talking about cards and have no knowledge of it.
Right.
You talk about, hey, I don't agree with him. He don't know anything about it out there. It's the end of the story out there. He might be the greatest father, though, out there, or the greatest brother or cousin or whatever. But as far as the card world, he might be the worst out there. You just got to remember that in the long run.
Definitely agree with that.
Well said. Well said.
Well, you got a lot of people in here just chatting away. I was trying to catch some of this stuff.
I know. I'm trying to keep up and say hi to everybody.
I'm sitting there trying to read. I'm like, wait a minute. Hobby first, hobby only, and all that stuff. They're all right. They are.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd like to do eventually, and it doesn't have to be just with people that have YouTube and Instagram, is that, eventually, this is a long-term goal of mine, is to find a location once a year where we all could get together and do our own trading and dealing. And you
Oh
know,
my
maybe
God.
everybody that has monetized YouTube channels, we all chip in, we pay for the venue itself, you know, have it, you know, pizza, soda, whatever it is down there for everybody to come in, eat, you know, a couple hundred people into it, and just good people all around. And I know, Joey's still in here. I know Bullpen. Yeah, I see him. And we've talked
Yeah.
about this to where it wouldn't be at a national or something like that. You use one of the other bigger card shows to where everybody can get together in the summertime. 'Cause that's usually when most people take their vacations in the summer. And you see a 4-day card show and be like, hey, instead of going to card show all day Saturday, how about Saturday at like 5 to midnight? We rent out this room here and we get everybody together. Everybody gets to meet everybody, and you know, you kind of have that safe environment in there type deal.
I love that. I'm all
I'm
that sounds like a great idea to me. I'm all
Yeah,
for that.
somewhere
Yeah.
centrally located. You know, some people
Yeah.
you know will have to go East Coast, West Coast. We meet everybody somewhere in the middle onto it,
Yeah.
where it's a big airport and fair, you know,
Yeah.
fees aren't real big and stuff like that. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of people would come out just to mingle and stuff like that there. And I think if you got enough, I don't want to throw big influencers or YouTubers and Instagrams, but if you got enough out there that have the connections, you can get a lot of it sponsored. VCW could throw packages, maybe, you know, and stuff like that together. Everybody gets a little grab bag coming in. You get some food in you and drinks, and you all sit around, talk. You don't have to have a big stage up there and be like, I am the presenter. All of us up here, worship us. You know, no. You go around, you have fun with it. Hey, guys, food's up here. Go town, you know, type deal. And I
Nice.
think it'd be something fun overall with it. I mean, you could do, I guess, terminology, door prizes or whatever, maybe stuff like that there.
Oh yeah.
And
But
normally that's what
Swag
we
bag.
try to do
Swag
with our
bag.
little group here as well. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, like in the Discord that we got with us, I believe our youngest member is 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and all of us old folks, you know, we it's like, you know, the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. That's the kind of mentality that we take with a lot of these younger kids that are actually into the hobby. You know, we try to show more of the fun aspects of it. I mean, there's some of us that we go into the mindset of, I need to flip this in order to get this, so on and so forth. But at the same time, not, and I believe, if I'm wrong, somebody correct me, a lot of us do what we can to support each other and their specified PC preference. You know, for example, I get roasted every time because I'm an A-Rod guy. You know, you've got some folks in here that despise Roger Clemens or whatever the case may be. You know, we know if that particular player or whatever comes up, don't send it his way.
Yeah.
Or whatever the, you know. But if there's something that if Adrian was doing a regular personal break on her channel and I caught eye on something that she pulled that I would like, you know, I'll hit her up on the side and I'm like, hey, I saw your video. I peeped this one thing that you pulled. Is there something that we can work out? And if she's looking to actually gain something monetarily, she'll let me know. But we have individuals in here that, for the most part, okay, let's see what we can do trade wise or whatever the case may be. It's not always about the dollar sign associated with it.
If it even at that, a lot of us don't even, we watch and we know each other enough. That stuff is already in the care package on their way to it. And I will say, Jason Extreme Card Break, like before I even started my YouTube channel, he was one of the ones I watched and I bought some stuff off of his website. The thing that I always do this because he did it first. He won't remember this. It was so long ago, but I bought some cards. I sent him an email or something like that, and he sent me extras. He sent me extra Oakland A's cards because I told him I was an Oakland A's fan. So I always put in extra surprises, extra goodies, and everything that I sell or do or whatever, because it's who doesn't love to open up a package and get some surprises in it? Who doesn't love that? You know what I mean? And And then we got people in this community, like there's like every single Miggy Cabrera card or Tigers card I pull, I have it set aside for somebody that just loves Miggy Cabrera, or, all my A-Rods go to you, Mr. Fuego, and stuff like that. So it's a nice community to be a part of,
What's fun is if you go through and you look at everybody that's ever bought from you, and then you don't have to organize it by who spent the most and stuff like that, but you'll recognize a lot of names are always, contributing, whether it's in your chat or something, and you have their address, send them something just out of the blue. Don't even say nothing.
100%.
Stuff like that there that shocks them is one of the greatest things ever, to see those surprises. There was a guy that sent me a Hank Aaron autograph. Probably within I know it was in the last year, probably last 6 months. And it was one of the greatest things. It was JSA picture and everything like that there. And just when you get something out of the surprise in the mail, first you're like, wait a minute, is this supposed to come to me type deal? Because you're not used to seeing stuff like that. But just picking stuff up just like that there, it's great, because you'll find where people are like, oh, do you have any of this? And I'm like, I hate to put this low-end stuff or this stuff on the website for a couple bucks. I'll just throw it in their package and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if I run across stuff that's very inexpensive, I just grab it and then, I'll just throw it into somebody's package because I know they want this or want that and stuff. Yeah. Bullpen finds Nolan Ryan's for me all the time, and I find him Tome's. We just send them with the packages back and forth. But you just got to look for stuff like that out there to do that brightens somebody's day, whether it's a little kid, whether it's an old person behind a computer, it's collecting. I think Bullpen knows this story. There was a gentleman who was building the, the Topps Chrome Platinum set. I opened up probably, 7-8 boxes of it. Had all kind of base cards. And I kept forgetting to bring him to the show. And I finally bring him. He comes by. I'm like, here you go. He's like, how much you want for him? I said, just take them. I don't want them. Honestly, they're just holding in there. Trade them with your buddies or whatever. Build your set. And I tell you, you do stuff like that there, you start gaining a good reputation. But you're doing it out of your goodness of your heart first, not for the reputation piece onto it. But the reputation piece will come, which will help you throughout time within the hobby itself. And trust me, it took a long time to, get where certain people are at. And you just have to really, really just dig down deep and start learning who your real friends are out there.
Yeah. I mean, like the one lesson I took from you, and it was a while back, and I don't remember the name, but you had a specific name for a microscope.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember what it was called.
Oh, I got it. I got you.
Dream Crusher.
Dream Crusher. Yeah.
I ended up after that conversation that we had about that, I went and got myself my little Dream Crusher, and it's the same exact one that Adrian has holding up right now,
which is the same exact one I think that Jason has, because
I pulled it off my Amazon to find out which one I got, because everybody was asking about them.
Works like a charm. So
it's a great tool to have.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna spend the money to grade, you might as well get that, because it saved me so much money over time, because my eyes started getting bad looking at cards over time. And that there, I could just really tell, okay, the white in that corner, it's done. That's a 9. It's a 9. Do I want to spend the money on a 9?
100%. The Dream Crusher. Yeah, everybody loves that.
The Dream Crusher. That's what it is. It'll crush your dreams on them cards out there. I mean, some of them will slip through.
If you don't know what you're doing.
It takes a while to get used to it, looking and knowing you have to angle the cards a little bit sometimes because of lighting onto it and get the light just right. But once you become proficient doing, hundreds of cards a week, it's just like anything else.
Yeah.
A three-wheeler in the comments, he's asking the brand of the microscope. I'll put a link in the description later for it on Amazon.
Mine's on the side. I don't think it has it. I'd have to pull it off my Amazon to see what I bought.
I just looked at mine. I don't see a name on it, but I'll put that in there.
That's a different type of label there, Hobby Hound.
Yeah, Hobby Hound, the Dream Crusher. I know. I was gonna say people are starting to call me that now too. So I don't know.
Yeah, just get all I'd say is when you buy it, buy some microfiber cloth so you can lay on top of that surface. So that way you're not sliding that card on that surface. You're actually just taking that microfiber with it and moving it around. and
I
it'll really help you out a lot.
like when you buy a pair of eyeglasses or something, guys, like this little eyeglass wipe your eyeglasses with. Those are perfect for that.
Yep, there you go.
Mine's all folded up here because I always play with it when I'm watching stuff. But yeah.
Get
the ones that are really soft though. That's the key to it. You get them ones that are more stiff that feel kind of like plasticky. They will hurt your card. You want the very flimsy, soft. It would be like women's lingerie type deal kind of stuff. It's really, really soft. It's the best way I could say it out there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Jeffrey, Peds has a good eye for grading. Give him 10 years. When he gets older, we won't be having that conversation.
I think no matter, for real though, no matter what your eyes are out there, guys, you should be at least using, some kind of a microscope, something. Because that's what they're doing.
They're really not expensive.
No, they're not at all.
Right there, just as good. Yeah, I see guys that bring jeweler tools and everything. And I mean, I bring that. And the other thing is get a black light. You could take that black light and look at your card, and it'll highlight in like a purplish color all the whiting on your card.
That's okay. That's
it's cool. Also good for vintage. It's spot and fakes, but a black light, very, very cheap. I mean, just don't do what I did and go into a hotel room to see how clean it is, because you will never want to go back into a hotel room. Even if they say 5-star.
Yeah,
you know what you now? Don't do it. It was the worst idea somebody gave me, and I hate him to this day. Every time he calls me up, I just think first thing comes to my mind is like, you told me to use a black light in this 5-star.
Yeah,
never again. Because I thought it'd be really clean. I mean, you can look at your bed sheets, but I mean, no joke. I have a cleaning lady comes here, and I always joke around because I'll bring the black light out. She's like, "Oh, not again." And I'm like, "I'm just messing with you. I was looking at cards."
That's awesome. Getting all kinds of advice here on the podcast tonight
about the Crowd Tap app.
Goody G's talking about. He got so many eBay gift cards.
I don't remember a Crowd Tap.
Yeah.
There's so many people would hit me up on their stuff, and I look at it, and there's one that's Center Stage that I use. Mm-hmm. And that there's like a quick reference for pricing, and it's just basically so I don't have to sit there and fumble. You just scan the card up and it'll bring stuff up. But for the longest time, when you were scanning the card, it'd bring up the wrong thing. It was horrible. Yeah. There was that there, and there's another one that I use for centering real quick, and I cannot remember the name of it. I'm trying to see if I could find it here. It was a real good tool, and then they wanted to start charging onto it. Do Dilly. Day I showed Do Dilly to about 10 people at a card show, they all started going around using on every card they could find. And it'll give you, it's supposed to give you like the surface and all that stuff. I just don't use it for that. I use it for the centering, left, right, top, and bottom. And it's pretty much point on, but you got to keep the card flat. If the card has a white background, just get like a black cloth or something and put underneath it so you can get the full edge piece onto it. Yeah, and if it's a black border card, get something like yellow or white behind it, type deal. But it'll really help out with centering in the guess game onto it. They really did real well with that. But yeah, there's been a ton of stuff that, people hit me up. I'm like, it's kind of cool, somebody might like it out there and stuff like that. It may not be my thing, but other people might like it all. I think that's the one where I can't remember. It was something to do with cards, and they were giving out gift cards, I remember, onto it.
Okay, cool.
And I can't remember if you had a list or you used it for your own portfolio or something. And the more you build onto it, I believe the more like points you got to redeem for gift cards, which was kind of cool.
Awesome.
You can't super chat.
No, I'm not there yet. I'm just short of 100 or 1,000 subscribers in my hours. I'm getting there. I'm close. I'm sure after tonight that's going to.
Hey, how many of you are unsubscribed right now? Go sub. I'm showing 954. There's 24 people in here. All 24 need to be subbed. Get her over 1,000. Because eventually I'm going around to channels, and I don't want to be going on jabs and stuff like that to give them money.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming on here tonight. Like, that means a lot to me, means a lot to Mr. Fuego. We're hoping I'm going to ask you on the spot. I'm hoping maybe you'll come on again in the future.
Yeah, just let me know. I mean, long as I'm not set up at a card show, because that's usually the hardest. Because sometimes I don't get home till 5, 6 o'clock my time until I get everything out. But like I said, that's like once a month now I'm set up. I think there's only 1 month this year. I'm doing twice a month. But if I'm free, I'll come right on.
Yeah, totally. We usually try to stay at least a week or 2 weeks out.
I had to say Jabs. See.
Yeah.
I should have used Jabs, because Jabs I just know makes bank off of donations. There will be a Jabs video, I promise you, coming out on my channel. This dude lives where I grew up at. And I have to one day go back with my mom. And I'm going to go everywhere in that town and holding a sign up and asking people if they know who Jabs is. And I can tell you now, all the people I went to high school with, nobody knew him but one girl who knew his brother. And I heard a great story on that. But I don't want to get you in trouble on this channel.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, well, you could go to his brother Passes Live. I don't remember.
He has a card shop in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and it's the most rundown, beat up thing that's ever been seen. I was told by a couple buddies.
Oh, fair enough.
Crosby, you in here? Because I know you. I think you were one of the ones that ventured down there. I thought I saw his name in here earlier. I don't know if he's out.
Maybe,
He'll tell you, because he lives right there. There's a couple guys from that area.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, the survey thing. Yes, the surveys. Yes, Crowd Tap's the survey one. Yes. Okay. There was another one that was where you build these portfolios of, like, they were only for collectors. You're like building sets, showing everybody whether they were graded or not, and they were rewarding it by giving you gift cards. Now I don't know if they're still around, because it's not on my phone anymore, so I just never really got into it.
Yeah. Huh. Yep. See, so we're gonna have plenty of stuff to talk about on future podcasts.
Jab's got his 52 medal because of super chats. That's awesome. That is awesome.
I wouldn't doubt it.
True. I think that's true. When he went to that cart, that would have been at the National that he got that 52 mantle.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%.
Well, here's one for y'all in chat. Whatnot gave influencers $50,000 to go buy sports cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them influencers said that Whatnot gave them that money? One.
Oh, yeah.
Sports Card Investor was the only one to admit that Whatnot gave him that money.
Yeah.
One person on all their videos.
Yeah.
Now, no matter how much I dig at good old Sports Card Investor, I will give him this much credit. He did the right thing by fully disclosing that, not looking like, hey, I'm taking $50,000 and buying these cards and give them away. He said, no, Whatnot gave me this money. And I applaud that. Out of all the influencers out there, or YouTubers, whatever you want to call them out there, he was the only person that did that.
I mean, if you're gonna make a business out of a hobby, at least be transparent.
Yeah, 100%.
So BN Audio says 2 admitted it. Who BNN? Who was the other one then? Just out of curiosity. Yeah. Hobby Hound, you hit it there. If anybody wants to send me some money to buy sports cards and film it, I'm available.
Yeah, I wonder who the other one is now too.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering. I got
50,000 updates. When I look at the other one, Battalion Audio said that 2 admitted, because the rest of them never did come out and say it. But I knew where all the money came from. The funny part is most of them don't even go on there.
Yeah,
to sell. One does. I know one does. He's on there weekly. Yeah. And I'll tell you this much. The one guy that I don't think got any money is Keen. And I think he goes by Nobody Talks to Keen or something like that. No, he never got any money. That dude's on there at least twice a week selling cards. I was like, if I was a guy on YouTube and had 15, 20,000 subscribers and all these other guys got, I'd be like, what about me, guys?
Yeah.
I'm on here religiously doing this, you know?
Right.
Pac-Man, maybe? He said sports card and the guy that does Whatnot, short black hair, popular. He's going to search it. And then Kaneda said Pac-Man. Maybe. I'm not sure. But
I wasn't Pac-Man. He didn't say. I didn't watch Pac-Man's video, to be honest. I don't even ever see Pac-Man on Whatnot. Now, I can tell you, like some of the other ones, no, they never mentioned it. They just talked about going on Whatnot after they spend all this money, and they were supposed to do giveaways and sell cards and stuff like that. But I just thought it was quite funny that they don't mention who they're sponsored. Right there, it is sponsored advertisers. And I think you should have to do that. That's actually a YouTube rule that you're supposed to say that on the video and put it into when you're editing. There's a button that says, is this a sponsored video? Yes or no.
Bullpen is saying car collector too.
No, he did not. I seen his video. He did not.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think we're at an hour and a half. I appreciate you guys all for hanging out with us tonight, hanging in there, hitting that like button. Be sure to, if you don't already, go check out Extreme Car Breaks on YouTube. I have his link for his website in the description as well, with all his other social media stuff. He sells on Whatnot now too. I've been going on there and picking up some stuff on his Whatnot. And he also has cards for sale on his website also.
Once a month.
Appreciate you so much. All right. Yeah. Appreciate you so much for coming on tonight. Hopefully we'll talk about having you on here again. It was good. I'm gonna kick you back to the backstage. I hope you can hold on for a second.
All right. Appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Hold tight. We'll end the show here and we'll get back with you. Well, have a good night. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining the Baseball Cards Junkie podcast. Tonight was awesome talking to Jason Extreme Car Breaks. Catch you guys next week. We'll get back into the whole
today.
Oh yeah.
So did I. Not even go front.
Yeah. This was awesome. He says we locked him in the basement. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. You have a good night.